of Soviet Socialist Republic, short form USSR in Cyrillic. It was these two Greek brothers, Cyril and Methodius, known to us in history as the apostles to the Slavs, who originated the Slav Russian Cyrillic script, named after the younger brother Cyril. This newspaper clipping from the Sunday Mail dated May the 5th, 1991 shows how prophetically accurate or right on target the fulfillment of Daniel's prediction of the emergence of a stern-faced king or dictator the Bible called the Antichrist from the north in the end times soon tomorrow. BC, the fall of Babylon. Nabonidus, the last supreme ruler of Babylon, is the father of Belshazzar, the second ruler or co-regent of Babylon. The king was away in Teman, Arabia, when the city fell to the Persians through the poor reign of Belshazzar, his son. Nabonidus of Babylonia is depicted here standing before the symbols of the moon god Sin, the sun god Shamash, and Ishtar, the goddess of war and love. The rise of Persia. This splendid photo of the remains of the Persian capital Persepolis gives just a glimpse of her past splendor. A clay documentary reporting the fall of Babylon in 539 BC. In the year 540 BC, the Persian army of the Emperor Cyrus killed the Babylonian king Nabonidus, and a year later the Persians occupied Babylon. The capital of the Babylon Empire seems to have fallen to the new rulers without a battle. Indeed, they were probably regarded as liberators. A cuneiform document, the so-called Cyrus Cylinder in the British Museum, tells us about this in the Babylonian language. As I entered Babylon peacefully and took up my seat of government in the royal palace, amid rejoicing and exultation, Marduk the great Lord inclined the hearts of the Babylonians towards me. The inhabitants of Babylon I freed from the yoke, which it was not seemly for them to wear. Indeed, the last Babylonian king, Nabonidus, had persistently annoyed the priests of Marduk and alienated the whole of Babylon with his wrong-headed religious policies. The innumerable foreign devotees had also become a threat. In 538 BC, Cyrus allowed them to return to their own countries. And this table on the right, called the Babylonian Chronicle, records the reign of Nabonidus and the fall of Babylon to the Persians led by Cyrus in 539 BC. Persepolis, the Persian royal capital. Persepolis, the royal seat of the Persian emperors, erected north of Shiraz by Darius I and his successors, was never the center of the empire. The seat of government remained in Susa. The massive terrace area was surrounded by thick walls. Apart from the imposing pillared hall of Apadana and the hall of 100 columns, the palace also included an extended area of storehouses, a treasure chamber, living quarters, courtyards, and a library. The Royal Audience Hall of Apadana. The reliefs on the stairway leading to the Hall of Apadana in Persepolis show the Persian and Median warriors of the Royal Guard. A long procession of representatives of all satrapies of the empire bring the tributes. In carved relief, long lines of men approach the center. Persian guards and nobles, myths and representatives of the provinces of the Persian Empire, each bearing produce typical of the region as tribute to the king. The plan of the palace of Persepolis is shown here. The audience hall, or Apadana in the Persian language, of the palace built by Darius I at Persepolis, Iran, was approached by this monumental entrance. Medes and Persians. Medes wearing rounded hats and short tunics are distinguished from the Persians who wear high fluted crowns and ankle-length robes on this relief from the Apadana audience hall at Persepolis, Iran. The Palace of Persepolis. In addition to the palace he had built at Susa, King Darius began a new palace at Persepolis. A white stone staircase led to a courtyard. Then visitors climbed more stairs with elaborate carvings on the walls to a pillared porch and audience hall 200 feet long and 65 feet high. Here in great luxury, the king sat in state, surrounded by his courtiers. The 19th century artist reconstructions capture something of the splendor and color of the palace as it might have looked in Darius' time. Persian postal system. The Persian Empire stretched from Greece to India. The king ruled supreme. His words was law. Each province had its own governor responsible to the king. Communication was clearly vital, and couriers sped along the great highways from province to province, carrying official messages in diplomatic bags like the one pictured here. Aramaic. The governors of the Persian Empire ruled a mixture of peoples who spoke many different languages, but the normal language for the king officials throughout the empire was Aramaic, the language in which this letter was written. Aramaic had been the common language of the Assyrian Empire. Speak to us in Aramaic, King Hezekiah's officials had said to the envoys of the Assyrian king Sennacherib, 2 Kings chapter 18. Don't speak to us in Hebrew, in the hearing of the people. The letters to and from Persian king in Ezra chapter 4 to 7 are recorded as one would expect in Aramaic. Thus also the portion of Daniel chapter 2 verse 4 to chapter 7 verse 28. Justus was. The name of the Persian king Ahasuerus or Justus is engraved on this alabaster vase from the mausoleum at Kallikarnassus in Old Persia.